Hey, 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 what's up and how's it going all, MRBers? I am Mike McRock, and I'm one half of the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now I'm going to give you my review, as well as the results of last night's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling, live from Manchester, England. And I'm telling you, they should go there more often. So on this episode of TNA, the show kicked off with Magnus, Dixie Carter, Ethan Carter, and Rockstar Spud in the ring, and basically Dixie Carter started off the show by saying how she's not losing control of her company, and she's about to hand over the microphone to Magnus when she tells the fans that he's the only one that's been with her as her bodyguard, and who's the one that's, you know, the handsome guy, the handsome world champion. And you notice that Ethan Carter is kind of looking at Dixie Carter in a weird way, like, hey, he's not the only one in the ring, right? And that basically Ethan Carter got on the microphone and told everyone basically what he'd done last week about ending Kurt Angle's career, and how he is the other handsome guy in the ring as well. And once Magnus got on the microphone, he talked about how he's not a paper champion. He was taking cheap shots to the fans, and always talking about achieving opportunities, and how he was talking about, you know, the article that Dixie Carter told the story a few weeks ago. And here I'm thinking, yeah, dude, we already know the story. Dixie Carter flips through the magazine and sees his article and decides that she's going to go to Magnus herself to sign a deal with him. Yeah, we already know the story. Don't go over it again, please. We already know it. And after that, he goes on to talk about MVP, about his debut in TNA, and how he basically, you know, how he's been controlling the show and not Dixie Carter. And then we get MVP. He comes out with Samoa Joe, and he makes the lockdown main event. It will be Magnus versus Samoa Joe for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And this is the match, to me, I'm really looking forward to, because the way TNA has been booking Samoa Joe for the past month now has been stellar, and I just can't wait to see what they're going to do with Samoa Joe for this World Championship match. You might as well just give it to Joe, because of the way TNA has been booking him and how they've been booking Magnus, making him look weak. And while he was talking throughout that first segment, I thought he was really boring. He was really dragging it out. However, I did like how he paused and stopped while he was talking to get the reaction from the fans. That little thing I did enjoy. It's all about taking heat from the fans that are watching what's happening inside the ring. And I thought that Magnus was actually decent while he was talking, but it wasn't at his best, I think, in my opinion. And basically after that, when MVP made the match, Gunner came out, and he was telling Magnus and Dixie Carter that I'm going to cash this in. I'm going to give you 7 days to prepare. What Gunner is doing the honorable babyface thing, where he's giving notice to the other guy that holds the title a chance to prepare for the match. He's doing the Rob Van Dam thing when he was the Money in the Bank briefcase winner, where he told John Cena, I'm going to cash this in at One Night Stand. So I like how Gunner is staying true to character throughout his promo, and I thought, you know, this is actually really good progression throughout this first segment. So I thought overall this was a good way to kick off TNA. And then we get to the match. It was Gunner versus Ethan Carter III, winner take all. And what happened was that that Magnus came out, and James Storm evened the odds, and MVP came out and basically told them that what he told them before on the first segment: if anyone comes out, I will throw my authority on you. And basically he made a tag team match. It will be James Storm and Gunner versus Magnus and Ethan Carter III. So already MVP is the new Teddy Long of TNA, making tag team matches. Holla holla, playa. Yeah, I know. I had to go there. I just had to. Anyway, so basically what happened was... I'm sorry. Basically what happened was that Gunner and James Storm won the match. Now, throughout this match, I thought, it was a decent match at best. There were no big spots. I like the tag team maneuvers that they were using throughout this ladder match and how the ladder was used in the match. I thought all that stuff was well and good. It was just, a predictable kind of match where, we see the baby faces go over, because, let's face it, where was Ethan Carter III gonna go with the tag team title briefcase that he had? To me, it just didn't make sense for him to have that briefcase, because he's a singles competitor and not a tag team guy. So to me, it made sense for him to lose that briefcase. And with that being said, it also made sense that Gunner retained his briefcase, because you want to make him look credible and look strong at the end of this match, to becoming, the next guy in line for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And it's going to be interesting to see him and James Storm together as the uncrowned number one contenders. They're holding the briefcase now for the tag team titles. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes with Gunner and James Storm, because to me, it just feels like this whole idea of them getting back together is just too good to be true, and there's going to be a point in time where one is going to turn on the other, and I hope it comes as a surprise and when it's the least expected. To me, that will make great TV when it does happen, and in all likelihood it should be James Storm that goes heel to help Gunner go over as a babyface in the future for his career in TNA. Also on the show, we saw a little backstage segment with the bromance complaining about how Gunner and James Storm won the case in that first match on the show. And they were complaining to Rockstar Spud while Spud was taping the floor. The little things I enjoy from Rockstar Spud. Giving space for Dixie Carter and giving space for MVP. And there's the 3 flowers in the vase. Yeah, I know, dollhouse reference. But anyway, he puts, the flowers in the vase. 2 on one side, 1 on the other, 1 for MVP, 1 for Dia, 2 for Dixie Carter, showing favoritism. I thought Rockstar Spud on tonight's show was gold. Every time I see this guy, I just can't help but laugh. And you'll see what I mean when he has a match on the show. Now, throughout this backstage segment, MVP came out and made a match between the bromance, Zima Ion, and the new team, the Wolves, the American Wolves, and a mystery partner. Who did we get? Samoa Joe. And to me, I thought this was actually a decent match. I thought I was going to crap on this match, but it turned out to be a really good, yet predictable tag team match. And basically what happened was, for the reason why I say it was predictable, because every single time you have a baby face team versus a heel team, the baby faces are working the match in the first few minutes, and then the heel team dominates the baby faces until the baby faces gain momentum and then come out victorious in the match. like I said, predictable. But it was still well thought up. It was a well done match. And like I said, it was decent yet predictable, where Joe gets momentum going into his World Heavyweight Championship match at Lockdown, where he basically squashed Zema Ion, tapping him out with the rear naked chokehold. And the only little issue I had with this match is that of the American Wolves. I think that if TNA put them in a 2-on-2 tag team match, it would have established them more. And even though we saw American Wolves in the ring competing in a 6-man tag team match, it just didn't feel like they were showcasing the Wolves to their full potential. And like I said, I would rather see them in a tag team match where they can establish themselves as a tag team, as opposed to being in these supporting roles for Samoa Joe's journey to the World Heavyweight Championship. That's the only little issue I had, but other than that, I thought the 6-man tag team match itself was actually pretty good. Moving on to a backstage segment with Dixie Carter and Velvet Sky, and basically Dixie Carter telling Velvet that she has to go through the match with Chris Sabin. MVP comes in and he says, "Did I hear that correctly, that you are okay with a man versus a woman?" Stuff like that. And basically after that, Spud was getting into MVP's face and said that he's a washed up wrestler, and then MVP challenges him to a match. And like I said, I'll get to that later on this review. And then we get to what I think was the highlight of the show, the segment of the show. What this was the Monster Abyss coming out, cutting a really good promo. I thought that he was creepy and had that eerie factor, and to me this was Abyss at his best on the microphone. I like how throughout that promo they had the lights dim, so it made it feel like he is the monster, telling about his story and how he's this psychotic freak of nature and stuff like that. I thought that was all well and good. What happened was he was talking about how he never wanted any of this to happen, and calling out EY and basically telling him, look what you have done to me, experimenting on me from the blood and the Monsters Ball match and stuff like that. And basically EY came out and he was just saying, I was just trying to help, and that he's not afraid of him. He's not afraid of anything. He's not afraid of Abyss. And basically after that, they go about Eric Young wanting to help out Abyss to being who he wants to be, and Abyss just flat out denied him. And and then after that he said that I will get help, but I will get help from someone else. And here I'm thinking, James Mitchell can come into play now, because we all know, if you're a fan, a longtime fan of TNA, if you've been watching it from the very beginning, you know right away who to think about. You could think about Dr. Stevie or anyone of that nature who is a psychologist, a manager. And to me, the first person that came to mind was Father James Mitchell, because he was the guy that came in with Abyss, basically from the very beginning of Abyss's career, and help him move along as a singles competitor. And I think having Father James Mitchell coming back would probably do really good for Abyss. And even though he was a mouthpiece for Abyss, to me, it's going to be a case of Paul Heyman and CM Punk, where CM Punk really doesn't need a mouthpiece, but he looks good with Paul Heyman. I could see that being the case for Abyss and James Mitchell. Those two would look really good together. And What I would really interested to see is when Abyss does finally come back. He shows up. He has a half a face, a half a mask, and a half a face. A little thing like that to me would really add to his character. So we'll see what happens with the monster Abyss going forth now in the storyline with him and Eric Young. We'll see what happens. Also, we saw a little backstage segment with Christy Hemme and Samuel Shaw, and basically Samuel Shaw finally accepts, Christy's proposal about keeping it professional. He shakes her hand, and you notice when he turns, he looks like he's gonna smell his hand, and just creep in his creepy way, just walks out and walks up to his trailer. And to me, that was another great thing to establish Samuel Shaw as the creepy American Psycho. I thought that was genius on the part of TNA on how they're portraying Samuel Shaw. Little short snippets of him being that creepy guy, and have him every now and then compete in the ring, and it's really a matter of time before Christy Hemme has a little storyline angle where she's been kidnapped. And I think that if they go that route, I like to see it happen off camera as opposed to on camera, because it will add to the mystery, and you'll just get the idea right off the bat that she's nowhere to be seen. And what happened to Christy Hemme? She's been kidnapped. Oh, who kidnapped her? Oh, it was Samuel Shaw. Oh my God, he's a real psycho, and we should stay away from him. And I think if they do something like that, would, like I said, add a lot of mystery and suspense. Even though it is a predictable kind of thing, like I said, it would add a lot of thrilling action, I think. Also, we saw a little promo. Willow the Wisp. I know, that was a bad impersonation, but what the heck. I'm a huge mark for this gimmick, because this was one of Jeff Hardy's first gimmicks that he has done in his wrestling career, way before he signed up with WWE. If you don't know, I have his DVD of his biography, and I like how they establish him from the very beginning to where he is now, even though it is a little outdated. And they mentioned that Will-O-The-Wisp is actually one of Jeff Hardy's first gimmicks. Now, when he started promoting himself as a weird, odd character, and to me, this is a really good thing that TNA is doing, repackaging Jeff Hardy to something that I think Jeff Hardy always wanted to do on a wrestling promotion. If it's either WWE, TNA, in this case, it will be TNA, and I'm glad it is TNA, because TNA does things, I think, for superstars to allow them to do what they want to do, and I think Jeff Hardy coming back with the Will-O-The-Wisp character, I'm just a huge mark for it. I love it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to bring to the table if he does debut at Lockdown. If this new gimmick debuts at Lockdown, so we'll see what happens with Jeff Hardy. Also, we saw another backstage segment where Dixie Carter was talking to Bobby Roode. Earlier, Bobby Roode was looking for Dixie Carter. He's really furious. He's really angry. And when he met Dixie Carter, they were talking. She calls him a sore loser, and Roode comes back and says, "You don't want me as your enemy." And here I'm thinking, face turn. Make it happen. I think that's the way that TNA is heading, in that direction. I think it would be a great thing for Bobby Roode, because he's been a heel for a very long time, and to me it will be a good thing for Bobby Roode to push the reboot button on him and have him turn face and join MVP and his regime when it comes to the whole power struggle issue. And that's the only other issue I have. It just, to me, TNA is doing a lot of power struggle issues. They've done it with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, the Immortal, and gimmicks like that. And I think, to me, TNA is just running out of ideas. Even though there's different people involved, to me they should do something else. That's just my whole take on the whole power struggle issue on TNA. Also on the show, we saw Chris Sabin go one-on-one with Velvet Sky. And to me, I thought this was the most entertaining segment of the show. I really liked Chris Sabin, how he came out mocking Velvet Sky's entrance, and the little things like that, and how he was doing a jive in the ring, and really portraying that whole asshole gimmick that really works for him. What happened was that Chris Sabin allowed Velvet Sky to get the first shot in, and basically saying that that I don't know why that I went out with you. I don't know what I see in you, and he called her a skank. And Velvet Sky hit him in the knee, hit him in the aimbag region, as Taz would call it, and really making Chris Sabin look like a douchebag that he already is. And I thought, to me, those two sold that pretty well. And like I said before on my last review of TNA, when people work really well for each other, when they know each other very well personally, they do go out with each other in real life. And I think those two, like I said, work well with each other because of that reason. And what happened was that when Velvet Sky had Chris Sabin down on the mat pounding on him, out comes this mammoth of a woman. To me, she looked like an ODB and a Lady Tapa and a Beth Phoenix all wrapped into one big monster of a woman. And she had this weird looking hair and weird makeup. It was just really creepy and actually pretty good, I thought. And basically what happened was that she just basically squashed Velvet Sky, and Chris Sabin got the pin on Velvet, and she counted the pin actually, and not the ref. I thought that was a little interesting. And this new woman, who from what I heard is known as Alpha Female on YouTube, basically her and Chris Sabin celebrating this victory. And to me, I thought that was really, really interesting. It was, the unexpected factor kicking in, and I thought that's, to me, that alone spoke volumes when it came to that surprise factor. To me, that was the most interesting that happened on the show. When it came to those things where you say, oh, that was actually unexpected. I really didn't expect that to happen. And I thought, like I said, that was a really entertaining segment on the show. And we get to the main event. Now, before I talk about the match itself, you had the promo from Bully Ray earlier talking to Anderson's wife on the phone, and you had Anderson cut a promo talking about how it's all because of the family and not for the titles and stuff like that. And also the video package as well. So, they're building up this dragged out storyline, which really don't need to continue, and I'm glad it's finally over. That's all I have to say. And when it came to the casket match itself, to me it was a letdown. Even though the story was dragged out completely, it should have ended with Anderson going over Bully Ray when he held up the cuts of the aces and eights. To me, there was just no need to drag that story along. So I was really not looking forward to this match at all, and I was just waiting for it to end. That's all. That's my take on the whole issue. And the only other things that I was remotely interested in that match is how Anderson used the blood of it was actually Bully Ray using the blood of Anderson and putting it on his face, doing the weird psychology stuff. And I thought, like I said, the match was a letdown. The casket itself was, to me, just looked awkward when they put it in the ring, and Bully Ray just hardly fitted in it, and he got the mic check in the casket, and the lid was just completely destroyed. And I thought that entire match was a big disappointment. The more I think about it, even though it had a couple of interesting spots that stood out, to me it just left a bad taste. Now, I know I did miss one. MVP versus Rockstar Spud. To me, I thought that this was a very short match. To me, it was too early for MVP to be in a wrestling match because he had just, started as an authority figure last week. And if you're going to put him in a match, do it on these special occasion events and not have him being booked in a match way too early. To me, that was the only issue I had with the match. I like that it was very short because MVP is only limited now in the ring. Now he's older and probably is not be able to go well in the ring. So really, Rockstar Spud was working this match and how he didn't want to do anything to do with the match. And to me, every time Rockstar Spud loses a match, he always looks good in a different kind of way. It's not like they're burying Rockstar Spud because Rockstar Spud is the lackey of Dixie Carter's fault, so it makes sense for him to lose every single time when he's booked in a match where you just know that he's going to lose. So I thought that, to me, even though it was a short match, it was another one of the most entertaining segments on the show as well. And the final thing that happened on TNA was a backstage segment. For the love of God, TNA, it's one thing for you to start off your show with a backstage segment 2 weeks ago, and now you have your show end with a backstage segment. How sad. Really, really sad that is. What happened was that the MVP wanted control. It was a scene with MVP and Dixie Carter where Dixie Carter says that I want your shares. MVP wants control and comes with the idea of the 4-on-4 match at Lockdown where the winner gets full control of TNA. So at least they're building up the pay-per-view event TNA Lockdown. It's just that they had to end TNA with a backstage segment. Ridiculous, TNA. When you book your show, you want to leave the audience with something in the ring. To me, it just feels like that TNA has their own audience backstage and there's no reaction. So I think the next time, TNA, when you produce your show next week, start it and end it with something in the ring instead of something backstage. Overall, I thought it was an average show at best. There was nothing really special that popped out of my head. And in the same time, I thought it was still a decent show to watch. It was still entertaining. TNA never disappoints me when it comes to that entertainment value. And if you saw the show, what did you think about it? Comment below, let me know. While you're at it, you can also follow MRB Wrestling Reviews on Twitter. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. And to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.